Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this great webinar. My name is Reno Falvo from Rezgo, and today we're very excited to have Joe Martin from UpLevel Tourism to join in this call. We're excited. I don't know if you know much about Joe. I won't steal his thunder or his speeches, but the guy's been featured in TED Talk, Fox, WGN. Like, he's a well-spoken guy, and we're thrilled to have him on board. So what I'll do is, you're not here to listen to me, you're here to listen to him. So Joe, the floor is yours.
Let's jump in and I'll take this away. Friends, hello. It's really good to see you. I see Howie on this call. I see Tiggs Carolina. So many great people here today. Thank you for showing up. And I help tour operators book more corporate groups. And part of doing that, what I want to talk about today, is actually a really, really small, important portion of what we do there. And it's about a very, very important sentence that's going to help you sell more tickets. And it's this. It's the first sentence on your website. And to understand what's happening here, when you look at the sentence now, you may not think much is wrong with it. You look at it and say, yeah, that sounds fun. Cool, great. I want to do that. But you also have a lot of context. You're already a tour operator. You know we're talking about tour sites. So we got a lot of assumptions there. But behind this sentence, what I really want to talk about are the three primary types of copywriting. So we have three versions. There's narrative copywriting, there's brand copywriting, and there's conversion copywriting. As you may guess, narrative copywriting meant to tell a story. This is an article. This is sometimes people use narrative copywriting on their tour descriptions to take someone through a whole story. That's a different type of copywriting that has its own special purpose. The second type over here is brand copywriting. The purpose of that is to be memorable. Brand copywriting wants you to remember it. And so it's witty and fun and says all these great things. The type of copywriting I specialize in is conversion copywriting. I need to convert. I need to get someone to take an action. And so when we think about the first sentence on your website, and we think about the type of copywriting that we want to use there, what we see a lot are tour operators defaulting to brand copywriting. And this isn't what we want here. We don't want to be memorable. This sentence talks about connecting in unexpected ways. That's the opposite of what I want to hear. I need to know what to expect. What am I getting? What do you want me to do with my money? It's those questions, those basic things that we need to try and answer. And brand copywriting doesn't help us do that. I need to use conversion copywriting when they get to your website. And it's because they're at your website. I don't need you to be memorable anymore. They're here. Let's make them do something. And so when I look at what that sentence needs to be, is that a lot of times we're just going for clarity. I just need to help them understand this is what it is and this is what you're going to get. Does this help you make that decision? We're just trying to help them make the right decision when they get there, when they read, when they interact with this. And so I don't want to use brand copywriting, but everyone defaults this. And there's a reason that so many tour operators default to brand copywriting. And it's because this is the copywriting we see everywhere. This is what we're inundated with. So we start to mimic the things that we see. I had a teacher back in art school who had told me that you can take a brilliant graphic designer and sit them down and say, build me a website. And they're going to build the most generic, boring looking website because that's their interpretation of what they think it looks like. And so a lot of times we see that happening with copy. We're taking this copy that we see, this just do it Nike story, and we're saying, yeah, we need something that hits like that. But we don't. We don't need something that hits like that because I don't need you to be memorable when they're on your website. I need them to take an action. I need them to do something when they're there. And for that, I need clarity in what they're going to get. What is it that you're actually getting here? And it's not connecting with food. What you're getting is a walking tour for 3 hours that's going to feed you and give you something to do. I need that first sentence to help explain what the hell is this thing and why do I want to give you this money? If we can answer that in one statement, we're doing really good. And that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to write some of your sentence today together. But there's one more thing on this page I want to talk about before we flip, and it's the importance of words as well. And one of the things we've seen a lot of is that we also have this word at the bottom inside of this white box. We have this hungry, find the right tour for you. The first call to action on your site is so incredibly important as well. The purpose of your site is to make someone happy. Yes, I want you to sell tickets. Yes, I want them to book corporate events with you and private events with you. But ultimately, we're trying to make them happy, and getting them the information they need in a way they can understand it is what we can do to help make them happy. A general rule of thumb that I want you to keep in mind for all button copy for the future of you writing any kind of website stuff in the future, I want you to place that phrase before whatever button text you're writing. You're always going to be completing the sentence. I want to, whatever the button says. And that's what the person is thinking in their head as they read that button. Finish that sentence, I want to. So if that button says, I want to, hungry, find the right food tour for you, no good. No good. That doesn't make sense. We're breaking that convention that people naturally go to. What we see a lot, oh no, are people saying, oh, hey, I just messed up the whole presentation. Please hold, everyone. Please hold one moment. Uno momento. And we're back. What we see a lot that people go ahead and put is, I want to book now. This isn't necessarily what people want to do as that first action on your website. And what we found that was converting higher that people wanted to do when they arrived at this page was compare tours. That again, that idea of effective selling is about helping them make a decision. So how does your website help them make that decision? And changing just those two things for this tour was an immediate $17,000 increase and a 35% lift in the conversion rate of people clicking through. Wow. It's powerful with these small changes. So the purpose of what I want to do today with everyone here, we're going to write a high converting sentence for your site. And so the way we're going to do that is, first, we're going to figure out who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to figure out what you do. Then we're going to figure out, why does someone actually want what you do? Because those things need to go together here. So I want to start with this idea of your one target guest. Stop selling to everyone. Oh, so many people say this. You hear this throughout my industry. Everyone who says this says, focus on one person. And what does that really mean? It literally means, I want you to focus on just one single person. And this is nothing new. I'm not even the first person to say this. There's a man considered the grandfather of advertising, Mr. Claude Hopkins, who stood behind this motto. And it's a very simple concept. Have we figured out how to take one person from, I know nothing about you, to now I know about your tour, I bought tickets for your tour, I attended your tour, and I told 5 friends about your tour? Do we have every step of that journey mapped out for one person, that we know how all of that goes? And from what we've seen in the industry, no business does. No business has all those steps mapped out. It's not just tourism. And so we need to focus it down, get it down to one customer, because then we can look at what are the conversion points. And when we think about who is that one person we're going to go after, I have some criteria for you. So if we got pen and paper, now's the time. Now's the time. Reno's ready?
Ready, everyone. Let's do it.
Ready. All right. Here's the criteria for determining your one target guest. First, it needs to be someone you can actually acquire. We're not dreaming up people here. All right. We don't need to say Michael Jordan's going to come and take this tour, and that's who we're going to try and win to get here. Who's already coming? Who can we actually acquire that's going to come and take this tour? I want to look at who's going to spend the most per visit. Do I want to target the single traveler, or do I want to target the family of 4? I probably want the person who's going to buy more tickets from us. In that case, I want to know, well, who's going to come again? If I only have this finite amount of marketing and sales resources, what should I put them towards? I want to put them towards the person who's going to come back again. I want to put them towards the highest average order customer value. I want to put them towards the highest lifetime value. So what does that look like? Who is that person? I also want to know who's going to tell other people. Let's not pick the hermits of the world to target this towards. Let's pick the socialite. Let's pick the art school teacher who's on the PTA that's a part of this. It's going to tell all her friends about this. Pick someone that has that bigger audience. There's also someone who's going to benefit the most from what you do. There's someone who really loves your tour. Usually the result of bad reviews is the result of bad messaging. we didn't tell those people why they're not a good fit for our tour because we didn't express who should really be there. And so who is that person that's really going to benefit the most from this? And finally, the last criteria, who do you want to host? Who is that person that you would actually enjoy having on the tour the most? Let's get more of them. Why would we try and go after everyone and attract the people we don't want? Let's get the ones that we do. And this is where people get scared, because the second I start saying, hey, we're going to pick one person, everyone thinks, well, that means I'm shunning away other people. That means I'm only going after this person. We're not only going after that person. We're just going to focus the efforts. We're going to focus the time and the energy towards that type of person. And I don't want you to get scared about that. They can be incredibly successful. Adele didn't write a love song for 1 million people. She wrote it for one person, but 1 million people still connect with it in their own way. That's what I want your tour to do. That's what I want the experience to be. It's something so specific for that one person that they love it, and other people like that are also going to love it. Reno, I'm sure you love Adele. I love me some Adele. I know Dean loves himself some Adele. Howie loves Adele. It's a thing. We can all still love it, even though it wasn't written for us specifically. So don't be afraid to lean into that person and make it specific. It's still going to connect with other people. And so this is where, if anyone has an idea of who that person might be, would love to see you raise your hand. I think we can let you on here or let you off mute here for a second. And I'd love to know that person's name and how old they are. If anyone has that person in mind, I'd love to ask you some questions about them.
Let's see here.
We got anyone?
Anyone? All right. So let's hear. We have Gerardo here. Let's see.
Hi, can you hear me?
You betcha.
Gerardo.
Awesome. So my is a cycling enthusiast. So not someone who rides a cruiser bike, but rides a serious road bike or gravel bike.
Are they male or female, Gerardo?
Doesn't matter.
We're gonna pick one. We're picking one, male or female.
Most likely, okay. I'm gonna go male.
Male. How old?
They're in their 40s, 50s.
Exactly. How old?
They are 45.
45. All right, 45-year-old man. Is he married?
Yes.
Ooh, how long has he been married?
10 years.
10 years. Good for him. Waited a little later in life to get married instead of jumping in there super early when he was young. Any kids?
2 kids.
2 kids. How old are they?
Well, they are 9 and 10.
Ooh, are they going to cycle with him?
No.
Ooh, all right. All right, Gerardo, here's the most important question. Most important one of all of it. What's his name?
Joe.
I mean, I'm 42, but I'll take it. I'll take it, Gerardo. Thank you. Gerardo, that was good. What I wanted to get you there was really getting it down to think of it as a person, and just it's Joe. It's 45. You know, what is his backstory? What did he eat for dinner? Does he have regular habits? Why is he signing up to take your tour? What's important to him about it? And when you can answer those questions, you start to get the copy and sales arguments that really cut through. Thank you for sharing that, Gerardo. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right. So that was part one. Part one is sharing your guest. Reno, anything from that before we move on?
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you're talking about is being as specific as possible, because oftentimes we think so high level that, we're just too general. And, as soon like listening to you ask all these questions, and in my mind, I'm like, Gerardo is put on the spot, so he's coming up with these answers.
Sorry, Gerardo.
Appreciate you but the thing is that, yeah, it makes you think. You're like, okay, well, who is my audience? Even, and what doesn't matter what our business is, especially in this tourism space. Really go into the details. Do they have family? Do they have kids? Are they going to join? It just, I think it's forcing us to think a bit more instead of just this high level umbrella kind of thing. So that was great.
Where Gerardo started is where a lot of people start. We think industry, we think segment, We think, does Chicago have enough tourism to support me going after corporate groups?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we find out the answer to this is, well, no, you only need 5 corporate groups. Like there's 5 companies here. There's 5 Joes. There's 5 Joes we can start winning. Like we start looking at them and get it around them. So love that. Love that you got that too, Reno. All right, we're gonna keep going.
All right.
We're getting close on time. What I need that first part of that sentence to say is the eternal office space question. Just what is it that you do? In its simplest form, I just need that first part of that sentence to answer, what the hell is this? With no assumptions. I need you to be able to explain it that my grandmother would understand what it is you do in 1 to 3 words. The reason I need you to explain it so simply as though you would to my grandmother is because this thing up here, it is a cognitive miser. The brain does not want to do any more work than it has to do. If it has to try and figure out what you do, that's friction. Then all of a sudden, more friction is going to reduce conversions. We don't want friction. Make it easy. This is why we started that sentence with simply walking tours. Here's what it is. It's not unexpected. It's a walking tour. You're going to pay us because it's a walking tour. This is what you're getting. The second part of that sentence is the why I should care. Why do I want to buy? And so for this, I want to put you through a little exercise. We won't have enough time to hear your answers, but the first part I want you to write down here, I'm going to give you a minute to actually do this. I want you to write down 3 reasons that person wants to give you their money. And use their name. Don't say target guest. If your target guest is Joe, say Joe. If your target guest is Jennifer or Michael, why does Michael want to give you his money? Not people, but that specific target customer. I'm going to give you a minute on this one. Write down a couple. Why do they want to take your experience? What are those 3 reasons? 3 big reasons they want to take your experience. They want to do this because. Let me give you about 20 more seconds. All right. So here's the part where you have those 3 reasons. I want you to add on to each of those reasons. Reno, you got something written down over there?
I did. I did.
Give me one. Yeah. Give me one of them. What do you got?
Trust.
They want to give you the money because they trust you.
You were saying, so Joe, my friend Joe now from Chicago, wants to give me their money because they trust our brand and our company.
Perfect. So now, because they trust the brand and the company, this is important to Joe because I want you to finish each of those statements you just wrote. I want you to finish them now. The second part of this sentence here. So I'm going to give you a minute to finish each one of them. So just make sure everyone got that. The first part was those 3 big features. Why? Why do I want to take your experience? And then on each of those answers for those 3, I want you to just now finish each one of those with this. This is important to my customer because. Why is it important to Joe? Why is it important to Michael? Why is it important to Reno? Give me one of those for each of these. Give you another 30 seconds on that. All right. So Reno, now I'm going to tell you what you did. I'm going to tell you what I tricked you into there.
Oh boy, here we go. It's all right, Gerardo. You're not the only one, buddy.
When you answered the first question of here's the reason someone wants to give us their money,
Ah.
That's where everyone stops. Everyone stops at that part. And that's the feature that you're listing. You're listing a feature of working with you. The problem with just stopping at the feature is then the person needs to understand, well, why is that feature important to me? Mm-hmm. So when you answered the second part of that question about why it's important, now you stated the benefit. Now you wrote it in a language I'm going to understand when I read, because you're telling me why this thing is important to me, not just, hey, trust us. You're telling me it's important to me because you want someone you can rely on. Great. Now I know, and you're telling me that. And so that second part of that question is the benefit. So first part, the easy answer where everyone stops is the feature, but what we want to write are the benefits. And so to make that great high converting first sentence, I want to take your simplified version of what you do, and I want you to put it together with one of those benefits, one of those why should I cares. And now we've got a good first sentence. And that second part of it, that why do I want to buy? Why should I care to purchase from you? We want to validate that over time. Let's ask people on the tour, why did you buy a ticket with us? And whatever they say, we want to take verbatim and slap it at the front of your website. We want to go on to take their words. But for now, I've at least got you on the right path. Mm-hmm. And I got you a little formula for that homepage that now you know that first sentence needs to be what you do and why someone wants to buy right away. This first sentence may change depending on where you use it. So as you target different things, as we target corporate events specifically, we rewrite these UVPs to be specific to corporate events. This is why you want to book with this company corporate event. And so it's really looking at changing that sentence depending on where you're putting it. But again, you have your formula for it. I put up a couple more resources for everyone at upleveltourism.com/Rezgo. There's a video, there's a form that you can go list out some things about your target guest and have that. And then I'm also giving you some stuff to get you started about finding some more corporate bookings, because I love the one target guest of corporate groups. I think they meet all those requirements to an incredible perception. So purpose of this was to write a high converting sentence. And if you can change that one sentence, I think you're going to sell more tickets now. Everyone. That's all I got. Reno, that's it. That's it.
Wow.
Tapped out.
Well, that was amazing. Literally, that was on the dot 25 minutes. That was amazing, Joe. Wow. That was, I really enjoyed that. And you know, what's great about, this kind of conversation is like, I mean, oftentimes we think we need to make these massive, big changes to increase revenue or make changes in our business. But, this is just proof that something so small can make such a difference. And what's great about you, and I'm sure everybody is going to agree, is that you're making us all think, especially with the exercise, even for me, I'm writing it down, and I'm we always write down the features that people want, but really it's we're not honing in on the benefits. And once we hone in on the benefits, that will take us to that next level. So yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here. Do we have time for a Q&A at all, or a couple questions?
I will stick around until everyone's question gets answered. Yes.
Hey guys. Yeah. All right. So if you have any questions for Joe, on the bottom of the screen, there's a Q&A section here. You guys, if you want to ask a question for Joe, and then I will ask it on your behalf. I'll just keep an eye here of seeing if anyone has any questions, and then we'll go on right there. So I'll give you guys a moment.
I mean, I feel like the number of questions submitted speaks to the clarity of the content presented. There's a direct correlation here between
direct correlation.
Was this thing presented that it was interesting.
I'll give everyone a moment
as we examine conversion metrics. Just keep this in mind.
I know. I think everyone's actually all excited because they're going to run with this. They're going to run with get ready with their season. All right. So we've got our good friend Gerardo. So what do you think is the best recommended in terms of as communication mediums for guests if they have questions?
Oh, that one is so dependent. But what I love, Gerardo, is it'd be the idea of taking that guest. Let me draw a little thing here. I think it's going to be kind of mapping out that timeline like I talked about. Now that we've got Joe as your target customer, where do the questions come up in the conversation? And I think based on that, you can look and say, oh, before the tour, he has questions. And Joe wants to be able to text us over WhatsApp to get his answers to it. And so it's going to be looking at it more specific in those situations. I don't think it's a blanket answer for something like that.
Great. So we've got Lynn from Taste Detours. I think she runs a food tour. She's asking, what about putting feed me instead of book now? What do you think?
We want the button to follow the very next action that a person's going to take. And so even the idea of book now, when we've tested this previously, we actually got 25% more people into the checkout process when we changed the words book now to see dates, which is all they're really doing next. That even the idea of book now is a little misleading. When I click that button, I'm not booking yet. I'm getting to the calendar, and then I'm choosing my dates from there. We always want to sell to the next step. So feed me. When I click that button, I'm not getting fed. What happens when I click that button? Only sell to the next step. Don't sell me too far down the road.
Very good.
If that makes sense. That makes sense, Reno?
I think that total, yep. That actually makes me think of my own stuff. So that's perfect. Howie from Gone Sailing Adventure. So my sailing business has multiple verticals. How do I reach each one from a homepage?
Oh, we need to start with figuring out the one target guest we're going to win, who's the most profitable one, and let's build it for them first. Then we can look at, great, now how do we do this in the verticals? And that would be, who's that new target guest? How do they find out about us? There's a misconception a lot of times that everyone's coming in the front door, that everyone comes in the homepage of your site. That may not necessarily be true. They may be coming in through a blog article. They may come in through a landing page from an ad that you've run. And so it's going to be looking at where are we even getting these customers from, and then configuring that page they need to land on.
That's great. Awesome. Thanks. Next question from Meg Barker. Can you give me feedback on this one sentence? Historic walking tours because your main vacation is once in a lifetime.
Oh, we get a little tagline there at the end.
I know, pretty good, eh?
A little tagline there, the once in a lifetime. I need a little bit stronger on that why. The historic walking tours, love it. I get it. I understand what that is. And then that why, I don't know if it's because my main vacation is once in a lifetime. If that is the reason you start hearing from people, yes, roll with it. But start asking people, why did you book our tour? Why did you come out today? And they may say, oh, because it was the cheapest tour on TripAdvisor. Well, now we know. Maybe we don't want to say that, but now we know why. And knowing that why is that's what we want to know. So you're on the right track, Meg.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, and those are all the questions here. Lynn says merci. And yeah, that's pretty much all set. So Joe, thank you so much for this. Everybody, thank you so much for joining this webinar. Like I said, this is recorded and I will be sending this off to everyone later today so that you can review. But Joe, I hope we can do this again soon. This was great.
You let me know, Reno. I'm in.
Yes, sold. Okay, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everybody.